Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about what is mindfulness, how to practice it, and I'm going to be focusing on 7 main techniques today. But before we get into any of that, as you know, we're going to talk about what we're going to cover in this video. So we're going to cover what is mindfulness, and I'll focus on 4 main areas within this. Then we're going to talk about who is it for, how does it actually help, and then finally we'll get into the 7 mindful mind training techniques that you can use right now. So let's get into it. First off, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness, I have noticed, has been a term that has been thrown around lately and used in all kinds of ways, which is why I think it's so important for us to start this video with a simple explanation and taking it back to its root, and that is mindfulness is about acceptance and creating present moment awareness. It is all about the now. To explain the nuances of mindfulness and how to become more mindful, I'm going to focus on 4 main areas today. Number 1 is creating clarity. These are the kinds of mindful techniques that tend to zoom you out of the problem or create space or detachment. And the reason they do this is actually because of our mind chatter. Our mind chatter causes this fuzziness within us and often makes us feel confused or sad. It tends to make everything zoom in instead of giving us perspective. So when we're practicing the clarity version of mindfulness, it's giving you that space and perspective to then see things you weren't seeing, to help you find solutions, help you come to terms with things, or help you actually just allow yourself to be within that space. What's happening here is thanks to those solutions that you're finding and thanks to the fact that you're able to see other perspectives, you're also able to see your blessings more in the situation, and you start to view it as a we thing as opposed to just a me versus them thing. So for example, if you're someone that's in a relationship and you've had an argument with your partner, that can end up like almost taking over your life or becoming a huge problem throughout your day and something you talk about and complain about and continue the cycle of negativity of, simply because there is no mindfulness there. There is no presence there. It's actually our mind chatter that's making that thing even worse or even bigger than what it actually is. So getting present and creating clarity in this mindfulness way helps that person then have a little space to see what's actually going on with whatever they're going through, and helping them understand their partner's perspective, where they're able to actually nourish the relationship and both of them can grow, which is then going to help that whole situation and cause less arguments in the future. So that's just a little example within relationships, how creating clarity through mindfulness can actually help both of you excel and grow and also nourish your relationship. Now, one of the reasons why creating clarity is so important within mindfulness is because it allows us grounding. So again, if I use the example of a couple having an argument, instead of that person then individually going into their mind chatter and creating 100 stories, bringing up things from the past, thinking about things that they might do next, and going into this whole overthinking bout that's just going to get them, making them feel even more angry and even more upset, it allows them to ground themselves here and now, to deal with the problem that's at hand instead of dealing with loads of problems from before or after. And in fact, you'll have a lot less problems from before if you deal with them in the moment. This is just one example of why creating clarity is so important within mindfulness and why it's one of the main key factors of mindfulness. Number 2 is creating peace of mind. Peace of mind is actually very different to what people think. Because a lot of people think of peace of mind as your mind being completely silent. And that's not what peace of mind is. Because if your mind was completely silent, you'd be dead. And you don't want that. You don't want to be dead. You just want to have more control and navigation over your mind. But the reason that we go into, we need to keep our minds quiet, is often because we're overwhelmed by what we're hearing and we don't have any space from it. So first we need to understand what is peace of mind. And in simple terms, peace of mind is basically practicing detachment and simply being. And you're probably thinking, Rakhi, but that's all well and good, but how do I do that? How does that even happen? How will my mind do that? And it's very simple, and I'm going to explain it as the cycle of the mind. What happens when you're practicing mindfulness is you're entering this cycle. Firstly, you will practice awareness. You will understand what it is that's currently going on. Then you step into acceptance, because now you know what it is, you can accept what it is. Then you move into identification. You're then identifying, is it coming from me? Is it coming from my environment? Is it actually a me thing? Is it a someone else's thing? Is it something I picked up? That all stays within the realm of identifying. Once you've identified, you can then practice radical forgiveness, because it would have given you different perspectives and allowed it much easier for you to be able to forgive and let go. Then once you've practiced this part of the cycle, you have then stepped into detachment. And from that detachment, you have stepped into just being. And that is where peace of mind lies. It lies between the detachment and your being. In that phase and in that part of the cycle is where you're going to find the most peace of mind. So when we go through this cycle, it's actually helping us deal with what's at hand, turn it into something great for ourselves, where then, even at your points of peace of mind, when you're practicing detachment and when you're practicing just being, when things come up in that space now, even if it's a thought, even if it's something that feels heavy at points of time, that very thing that used to affect you so much slowly affects you less and less and less and less. And you find yourself within that space of detachment and being more, which is then allowing more peace of mind. It's practicing this cycle till you become more comfortable with being in that state of peace of mind, where things can come and go, but you're not really affected by them anymore because you're in this state of being a lot of the time. Remember, our minds are very used to what we've told it and what it's known. So when you're practicing mindfulness, you're breaking that comfort zone for your mind to then step into this whole new version that it's never done before, where it hasn't really known what peace of mind is. So once you get comfortable and you start practicing this more and more and more, you'll find you are in your state of peace of mind so much more as well. Therefore, peace of mind within mindfulness is the kinds of practices that will enhance detachment between you and your thoughts. Number 3 is practicing attention and retention. You can call this brain training or mastering your mindset. It's making you focus on the present moment. It's making your attention fixate on one particular thing. Within mindfulness or mindful meditations, a lot of the time it will make you focus on your breath or a certain thought or idea, or even if it's something physical, because there's also the idea that you can practice mindfulness by simply just being here and now, by focusing on a laptop in front of you and all the different details of it. There is simple, easy techniques that you can use, which I'll talk about later, which enhance your attention and retention. The reason that I called this brain training is the more that you make your mind focus on the now, the more natural it becomes for your mind. Therefore, it becomes a lot easier for you to have that clarity and that peace of mind, because you're able to focus and navigate your mind to what you actually want it to be focused on. Remember that your mind is a tool that you navigate and not a tool that navigates you. I'm going to say that again. Remember, your mind is a tool that you navigate and not a tool that navigates you. And in this instant gratification world that we're currently in right now, people are only getting more levels of stress because they're so frazzled, because they're in so many directions, because they're thinking about 1,000 different things. They are not practicing mindfulness. And that is what's causing this increase of stress, this increase of not being able to feel into the moment, not being able to appreciate things. The reason gratitude levels have gone down as well is because you're so used to getting things instantaneously that you can't now enjoy the journey. Now the perception of that is foreign. So to create the enjoyment of the journey, we need to create the enjoyment of the now, because your journey is happening right now. It's not happening later on. It's not happening in the past. Bringing our attention here and retaining it here is very important in mindfulness, because it's going to help you create better feelings within yourself, which is ultimately what all of us want. For example, one of the ways that you can right now practice attention and retention is, instead of doing 1,000 things at once, do one thing with full attention. And the reason I say this is because people have glorified multitasking, which multitasking has its place and it can be wonderful and you can be mindful within it. However, if you are starting off in mindfulness, the best thing for you to do is do one thing fully attentively. If you're cooking, cook. fully be there, fully be in that experience. If you're watching a TV show, just watch a TV show, be fully in that experience. If you're eating, eat and be fully in that experience. Whatever you choose, don't do 5 things at the same time. Don't have the TV on and then have music on and then be cooking and then be eating at the same time, which I know some people do, which I've probably done in the past too. But believe me, when you strip it back, you find the joy of the thing that you're doing again. That gratitude level increases. And once you're at a certain level where you can be a lot more, then you can maybe do 2 things at the same time, but make sure that you are being and you're fully involved. Because otherwise you're not living, you're on autopilot. Autopilot is not living. To live a full life, you need to be present with whatever it is that you're doing. Which brings us on to number 4, which is being rather than doing, or allowing your doing to come from your being. Again, we've been tricked into this fast-paced, instant gratification kind of world at the moment, which has convinced you all that you need to do a million things without actually teaching you to be fully involved in whatever it is that you're doing, without being present in any of it. This kind of mindfulness will very much focus on your being because it wants to create more great experiences for you, as well as actually live your life. Instead of things just being passing on autopilot, like I mentioned before, you are fully present and you're fully experiencing your life. Think about it. If you're constantly in your doing and never being, that means you're never able to reflect and you can't actually evolve. You're just living the same things again and again, which often will cause things like depression because it's going against your natural instinct. All of us, human beings, our natural instinct is to evolve, is to get better, is to improve. It's literally in our DNA. So if you're constantly doing and never allowing yourself to reflect or evolve, you're going against your natural self, your natural biology, which is naturally then going to cause you to feel very heavy and not feel very great and cause things like depression because you're going against what you would naturally do. And that would be a normal outcome for going against what you would naturally do. The miracle of mindfulness is that it helps you be even while you do. It allows you the best of both worlds, and that's why we need to practice it. The aim in this section really is to understand that mindfulness, when it comes to being, is so important because it allows your doing to become so much more purposeful. It actually allows a lot more ease in your life, and you find a lot more joy and love and have a greater experience of life, which I believe that you deserve. These 4 different avenues are all intertwined. They all work together to create mindfulness. That clarity is going to help you create that peace of mind more. That attention and retention is going to help you have that focus that you need. And that being is going to allow you to fully experience what it is that you want to experience. So together, these 4 avenues of mindfulness create a beautiful, amazing, fulfilling life for you. Who is mindfulness good for, you might ask? Well, pretty much anyone and everyone, because at some point or another, we would all need it. No matter how woke you think you are, you will need mindfulness because we all have a mind. We all have mind chatter. So we will all need these techniques. We will all need mindfulness at some point or another in our lives. And that's absolutely fine. It is there for us to be able to use as this tool to gain back the reins of our life. But in particular, it is very useful for people that are overplanners, overthinkers, people that are very fixated on their victim mindset, or that find themselves overwhelmed a lot of the time. As mentioned in the previous section, the reason a lot of these people feel the way that they feel is because they're either too zoomed into the problem, they have too much mind chatter that they've just gone away with the wind with, or they just cannot see and they're not actually present or experiencing the life that they currently have. So these could be any 3 of the reasons why these people feel the way they feel. And mindfulness deals with all of those things. And that's why it's useful for those people in particular, but it's useful to anyone and everyone that would like to use it. So how does mindfulness help? Well, I've explained a lot of ways that it already benefits you, especially in the first section of this video of what is mindfulness. But in short, it pretty much zooms you out of a problem. It allows you present moment awareness and creates so much joy. It decreases your mind chatter, which allows you more peace of mind, and it also helps you navigate your mind. Those are just some of the ways that it can help. But practicing mindfulness, especially for the characters that I have previously mentioned, because they have such a high rate of mind chatter, they really could do with the magic of mindfulness. So in this section, I'm going to speak about these particular characters and explain how it helps them, because this may also show you the ways that it could help you. Firstly, let's talk about overthinkers. Overthinkers are often caught up in the stories that they're telling themselves in their own mind, and their imaginations can go wild. The mind chatter is so much in their case that it becomes like this habit of thought. And to break that habit of thought is where mindfulness comes in. It allows them the space to bring themselves back into the now, to focus on what's actually happening at hand, as opposed to all of the stories that are happening in their heads. It allows them the ability to shift their focus, which helps them feel a lot more at ease. And that is how mindfulness benefits an overthinker. Then we have overplanners, who are basically looking for control in their life, having control over their future. They love to overly plan things, and it's very fixated on the future more than it is on the present, which means that they may make a lot of plans but not necessarily see any of them through, which then makes them feel bad. The reason that this happens is because you are trying to gain control over something that you cannot necessarily have control over. The way that we actually have control over our future is by controlling our present, by our actions and the things that we do now. So for overplanners, mindfulness is a great key tool because it's going to help them use their planning skills, but in the present moment. What can I do now? How can I plan out my day now? What are the steps I can take now? It's great to have a vision for the future and to almost have a plan of where you want to go, but when you overplan it, it is very much coming from the fact that you're actually scared of what the outcomes might be. Now, speaking as an overplanner myself, especially in the past, it's something I've worked on a lot, but focusing on the present moment and bringing myself to the now, really bringing myself to the actions that I'm doing now and enjoying them in the now, has helped me achieve a lot more of my goals than all of the plans that I had made previously about all of the future things that I was going to do. It's very much what we're doing now as opposed to what we're going to do later. In short, mindfulness is actually giving overplanners exactly what they want by giving them control over their life in the now. Then that brings us on to overwhelmed. The overwhelmed person is actually because they are fixated in too many areas at once. They're focusing on too many things at once, or they've got too many emotions at once. They're attaching a lot of meaning to them, which is then making them feel even more overwhelmed and getting them caught up in this cycle of wavering emotions. Now, mindfulness for this person is great because it's going to create space between them and their emotions. It's going to help create space for them to be able to focus on one thing at a time. Attention and retention will be the best for these people. Naturally, when you have 1,000 things in front of you and you have no direction, you're going to feel overwhelmed. But mindfulness is giving you that magic key to focus on one thing at a time, to be fully involved in it, to make the most of it, which is then going to take one thing off your plate and help you feel less overwhelmed. And finally, the victim mindset person. If you're someone with a victim mindset, mindfulness is very useful for you because it helps you zoom out. It creates that clarity. And through creating that clarity, these very people will be able to see other perspectives other than their own. It will help them feel more inclusive as opposed to feeling like everything happens to them. It helps them shift towards a more positive mindset. These are just a few ways that mindfulness can help us in our daily lives and these particular characters. But now I want you to ask yourself, now knowing all of this information, how can mindfulness actually help you enhance your life right now? Moving on to mindful mind training and techniques. Today I'm going to give you 7 different mindful exercises that you can implement this week. So number 1, I want you to practice mindful eating, bringing your full attention and focus to the experience of trying foods. If you struggle with this, I would suggest actually trying a new food to allow yourself a new experience. Something you've never had before opens up your taste bud and allows you more of a present moment awareness anyway. So if you do struggle, you can try something new. If not, it could be something that you already have had before, but now notice all of the different senses that you're using when you eat. Because just think about it, when you've got a cold, food tastes different, right? So our senses are a big part and play a huge role in our food experience, in our eating experience. Now notice how each of these things are becoming a part of your experience. Notice the smells of the food. Notice the taste and the texture of the food. Notice the way that you're able to touch the foods. Use your hands. Make sure they're clean, but use your hands and experiment with that. Feel the foods. You literally cannot get this wrong. So just practice mindful eating, bringing your full attention and focus, even to the points of how it's breaking down and how your teeth are able to break down food. A lot of us don't pay attention to these things. A lot of us just quickly scoff our food down and run because we have something else to do, getting caught up in our doing. But for this particular exercise, you are going to fully experience what it's like to have food again. And if you struggle, like I said, it could be something you're trying for the first time. Allow it to be a full sensory experience. Number 2, breathing techniques. And there are so many of these, but I'm going to cover a few today. So firstly, simple breathing. That is literally just observing your breath that you currently have without changing a thing about it. Then we have yoga, and a certain type of yoga is called pranayama, which is literally just breath work. There are many different types and many different versions of breathing techniques that you can use within yoga, but the two that I use the most is Kapalbhati and Anulam Vilom. I'm going to quickly demonstrate how you practice Anulam Vilom right now. So you need to have your thumb and your ring finger. My pinky sometimes comes up, so just ignore that. And what's going to happen is you're going to use your thumb to close one of your nostrils and breathe in. And then you're going to use your ring finger to close the other nostril and breathe out of the other side. So what it's going to look like is you practice this a few times, and what it does is it actually regulates your systems to basically have balance within. And that's one of the reasons why I like practicing this particular breath work the most. The other one I mentioned earlier that I use a lot is Kapalbhati, but I'm not going to be doing a demonstration of that one today. So if you would like more breathing techniques and demonstrations, then drop a comment down below and I will do a whole video of them for you. But for today, I just wanted to show you the Anulam Vilom. I mentioned that you can also practice just simple breathing and observation. Then there's also another technique called the 3-3-3 technique, which is breathing in for 3, holding for 3, and releasing for 3. This is a very simple technique that pretty much anyone and everyone can use. Another technique I love to use is called balloon breathing. Balloon breathing is basically filling up your stomach to the maximum capacity that you can and then breathing out rapidly. I use a range of these breathing techniques at the beginning of all of my meditations. So if you really struggle, go ahead and just check out some of the meditations. I always start with breath work, so that's a great place for you to begin if you're someone that has never done it before. But also if you're someone who just wants to practice different techniques, because I always do different ones on there. Number 3 is creating a mindfulness bowl. Now this is actually a concept I came up with as I've been in my healing journey, because I find it useful to sometimes create mindfulness techniques that are very based around my goals and also just things that I have realized that I need to pick up more of. So if you're someone that notices that you need to be more present when you're with children, for example, that would be your specific mindfulness task of the day. And you would write it down on a little sheet of paper, fold it up and put it into a bowl. You do this for multiple different things that you realize you need to work on. And it helps because every morning you're going to pick out one of those things and open it. And for that day, that is what you're mind training. That's your topic for that mind training for that particular day. So then you have direction and focus of what am I actually doing this day? Okay, I know today I need to be more present when I'm around children. That's my main aim of my brain training today. So you bring your awareness, you bring a lot of mindfulness to that certain moment. For example, for me, that would be like when I'm with my nieces, I want to make sure I'm fully present and I'm hearing them and I'm understanding them. So I would bring that particular task to that particular moment in my day, and you can keep building on this. And that's what I love about the mindfulness bowl is firstly, it's personal to you. So it's actually going to help you in your life, and especially in areas you need to work on. But secondly, it's going to help you just become more mindfulness throughout your life. I would suggest that you put a couple of like standard mindfulness techniques in it and then mix it in with your particular ones, because then it gives you a little bit of variety in your life, because we all love a bit of variety. And that could be something as simple as make sure you're taking 5 minutes out of your day to watch a sunset, and then obviously you have your more personal ones. And if you're like, Rakhi, I haven't got time for that, I can't be asked. Well, firstly, you should be asked, because this is about your well-being. But if you're someone that struggles to do that at first, then you can even go online and buy some mindfulness cards. Mindfulness cards are easy to purchase, they aren't super expensive, and you can just get a couple of those, and every morning you just pick a card and it tells you the task of the day. And eventually, once you've got familiar with the mindfulness cards and you're used to doing those, you can then create your mindfulness bowl for your particular actions and particular things that you would like to achieve. Number 4 is the list 5 technique. A lot of people actually use this for when they have anxiety, but it's actually a mindfulness technique. And that is, whenever you find your mind drifting or wandering or having certain thoughts, you bring yourself back to this moment by just listing 5 things around you and detailing them. So right now for me, for example, that would be my laptop. My description for my laptop will be, I can see keys, I can see the color is gray, I can also see that it's connected to the charger, which is white. So I'm noticing all these things about that one particular thing that's with me right now. Number 2, the second thing that I notice in my room is I have a lot of books. I can see multiple different kinds of books. They're all different colors. They all have different representations of different things. A lot of them are spiritual, a lot of them are self-development. The third thing that I noticed in my room is that I have a ring light, which provides me with the light and the ability to be able to connect to electricity, which allows me light to be able to record my videos. Which, funnily enough, it's not actually on today, but that is what I've noticed. And then my 4th thing would be, I have a camera. I noticed that I have a camera in front of me. It has a microphone, it's black in color, it's standing on a stand. Again, that's my 4th thing. My 5th thing could be that there's a radiator in my room. It's white, it is allowing me heat. It's always focusing on the factual things that are in front of you right now that is going to help you with the list 5 technique. And the reason that we go into detail of these things is because it's really making your mind focus on what's happening right now and creating all of the reality of what is, so that you can experience that as opposed to all of the stories and mind chatter in your head. Number 5 is practicing guided meditations. Guided meditations is a great way for you to practice focus and attention and retention, because you're constantly bringing yourself back to what it is you're listening to. So that's a great way to start. Plus there's so many mindful meditations out there, and I will be putting up one next week as well to help you even further with this particular tool. Then we have number 6, which is mindful walking. When you go out and about, whether it's just up and down the stairs in your house or you're going around the block for a walk, whatever it might be, I want you to pay attention to how you are practicing movement. Be present with yourself when you're practicing movement. And what that can sound like is, if you're walking, you might observe the things around you. You can focus on the things that you're seeing, but it's just taking 5 to 10 minutes of your day to really practice mindful walking, to continuously bring your attention back to what it is that you're doing. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, attention and retention are really important factors of mindfulness. So this is bringing in external activity like walking and bringing your mind constantly back to that. So every time you feel yourself wandering, you bring yourself back to that focus of the environment around you, or just the movement or the air, whatever feels right to you, but focus on that particular activity that you're doing in that moment. And finally, number 7, and that's group games and activities. This is a way that you can make mindfulness accessible and fun. As human beings, we are naturally quite social and sometimes require accountability. So it's great when you're in a safe space with people you know and love and trust, where you can then grow together. For example, a way that you could practice this game is by both of you doing an activity and fully immersing yourself into that activity. By doing that, you are having that mindfulness moment then and there. Now, at the end of that activity, you both tell each other your experience of that activity. What are some of the things that you noticed? And what that's going to do is it's also going to indicate to your mind, I need to pick up on these things because we're going to talk about this at the end. So it's going to make you be more present naturally. Then when you share the stories at the end, you share your version of it, the other person will share theirs, and the wonderful thing about that is that you're helping each other see the gaps that you were both missing, and that's going to help you both grow together. This is just one example of how you can practice mindfulness games with other people that's going to help you both grow. If you're new to my content, then go and check out this video where I can give you 2 more bonus mindful techniques. One is sitting in your energy, and the second one is in the view of a child. These will help enhance your mindfulness journey that much more. Moving on to your homework. So this week, number 1, I want you to write, how can I incorporate mindfulness into my life more today? Journal this question and see how it can transform and how you can bring it in to your current life. And number 2, I want you to go and practice some of these methods. You can choose 1, you could choose 2, you could choose all 7, but go and implement these into your day and into your life, because it's only through implementation that we are going to make change. Make it as personal as you can to you, because this is all about you. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and let's create a life where we're able to navigate our tools to the best of our human ability so that we can have the best experience of life. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can see when I put up videos every week. Like and comment down below and let me know what you thought of this video. Don't forget to share your journey with me, because I would love to hear from you, so tag me, DM me, all of the links to my socials are down below. Remember, we're in this together, we've got this, and I love you.